So I've already taken a bunch of the bits off this. Got various bits that are a bit broken. The battery strap bungee stuff split, but that doesn't really matter too much. It's just slightly annoying. The bad point is if I put some power on it, so, and change to that camera, which of course is blurry. Come on. I did it. There you go. Apart from watching what you plan to do, I am doing some 3D CAD work for a friend. Nice. Right, so you've got the shift servo down in there, and if I do the shifting, you can see it seriously struggling. It's to be honest, it's useful, but the servo itself is actually working. So I think what the problem is the slide mechanism down in here is all full of gunge and mud and rubbish, and it's simply seized up. So what we need to try and do is try and remember how to get this top piece off so we can see the mechanism. It'd be nice if I knew what I did with the manual for the truck. Otherwise I can look at the PDF. What might that be? Looks like that has seen some action. Yeah, the last run out it kind of mostly went underwater. And this is after I brushed it off. You should have seen it before. Hello, Ben Adrian. Alright. Oh, and Ryan and John Van Bemmelen. Bemmelen. I'll call you John. Since that's your name. Right. Where's the manual gone? That's all terrier stuff. What's that one? X-Reel. No. Oh, okay, that's a speaker just falling down. Let's change back to that camera. Right, in one of these, this one says aircraft on it, but knowing my firing, it's just as likely to be in here as anywhere. Although it does look like there's just aircraft. No, that really is just aircraft. Okay, the cable's getting tangled around my foot. There we go. Do the wireless headset, I think. Maybe that's next on the list. So that says engine electronics, so it shouldn't be in there. This one says other car. Revo. Or Revo. T-Max. TRX. Original Stampede. I don't think they're in here, these are too old. Got a boat. I'm going to have to look at the PDF, I think. Oh, I've got aircraft manuals in there. That fits. Not in there. Got one more box fine. Just by the way, I watched your recent Scania update on YouTube. Just a thought, the blue volume control knob could have been hidden as an add blue tank cap. Well, that's a good idea. There you go, Adrian. That's your next project. It's Adrian's truck, by the way. I got in this one. So this is supposed to be engines, and it looks like it is. Except for the radios and the chargers. Right. Every time. What am I catching now? Oh, I see, it's my inline remote catching on the edge of the table. Lucky him, complete with customised electronics board. Yeah, and it nearly works, except when it goes over a bump and then it starts making some rather awful noises. I think the memory card is jogging a bit. Lampy John 1, hello. I've used the Tamiya MFC, but I'm interested when yours goes live. Nice. It'll get there in the end. Just going to take a while. Right, GMade GOM manual. Product manual GMade. That sounds good. GOM Plus. Ready to run. GOM kit. Download your PDF. This is good. Thanks. Still downloading a PDF. Okay, that's going to take it a minute. Also, is your servo tester available? 74HC states 0 stock. 74HC is quite correct. The problem I've got is I can't get hold of the LCDs that I've used, which have got two sets of pads along the top and the bottom, which I also use to attach it to the back of the board. I can only get them with one row of pins, which means if you press the LCD, all that happens is it just snaps off the back of the board and it's busted. So I haven't really been able to make any. However, there are plans to redesign it using an OLED display, which will work, but of course it needs a new design. It's all a bit of a pain. That PDF loaded? No, it's good. Where's the history thing? GMade GOM kit. Let's do save as. See if that works any better. Interesting. Oh wait, thanks for the update. Yeah, no worries. Alan Peters. That's a waving emoji. Nice. Hello. Just downloading the manual for the track because I can't remember how you get the cover off that, preferably without taking the entire gear train out. But I think you might have to, because I've got an idea there might be a screw or two that you can't get to under the bottom there. But if I have the manual, I should be able to work it out. 5 seconds, 1 second remaining. Long 1 second says 2 now. Very done. Right. Really enjoy the channel. After watching a few of your builds, I've jumped in and got a 3D printed sound rail from Shapeways. Nice. Loads on. So can I do a window capture? Sources. Alright then, sources, add, window capture, Firefox. That's a desktop, not Firefox. It's not Firefox I want, actually. It's that one. No, not that one. Where is it? What? That one? Ah. Oops. And I want that to come back a bit. That'll do. Right. How does the gearbox fit? Screws, axle, more axle. Ah, that's the house. That's the 2-speed? Or is that the rocket one? I don't know. Motor. Length. Okay, so we build the gearbox and we don't actually fit it. So that's the bit you can see from the bottom. So that's got those 4 screws. 2 screws. I guess the other 2 go in later. From the bottom. That's a shift, so I don't think we need to take that out. That does seem to be working, although it can't move the slider a bit, that bit. Ah, there's the fella. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, so it's like opposite corners on the bottom. That's interesting. So if I take those out, yeah, if I take those out, that should lift up and out of the way. Okay. So that's going to be that one. No. Yeah, that one and that one. Okay. Those are slightly darker in colour, so I can tell the difference. Very nice. Right, back to that. Let's turn that off. Right. So in theory, if I take those 2 out, that one and that one out, that cover should come away. Let's see if it works. That got out of focus again. There you go. Ooh, that was longer than I thought. Well, so that's that one. This one. That's Christmas music. Christmas vintage. Okay. Fine, I'll leave that going, why not? I have to remember the button heads go on the front. Oops. Need to get some square-ended Allen keys, especially when I drop them on the floor. Ball-ended ones are great, but when the screws aren't quite properly formed, I don't always grip terribly well. It's probably full of mud actually. Right, see if that works. It moves. I think the battery tray is going to have to come out. No, it's coming. Leverage. No, it's all hung up at front. So in the manual, they've got the lid going on, and then the front gearbox sliding in after. I really don't want to have to take that out. It's a problem when you've got one of these cage type trucks, the amount of things that require other things to come out of the way first. That's part of that. Oh, I remember. Got those two screws and the two on the other side. And then there's that one, that one, that one, that one. Okay. Right out. Right. Screws on the other side so they don't get mixed up. That's a 2.5mm. Of course, different lengths. They are. The two screws the same. Does anyone know any decent RC clubs in the east of England? I recently got an apartment in Lowestoft, but not there all the time at the moment. An RC club that is track orientated would be good, not so much planes, boats are okay. Whoa, that was loud. Unfortunately your name seems to be behind the camera, but thanks for the, what was it, a follow? Probably a follow. How do I find out? Oh, there we go. Lampy John 1 followed you. Thanks for the follow. How do I make that go on top a little bit? Alerts. Right, that should be on the top next time. Assuming there is a next time. Hint hint if you're not following. Oh, east of England you said. There probably is. I'm not sure about the off-road stuff, but with the 1/14 scale lorries there almost certainly is. There seems to be new clubs popping up all over the place at the moment. Most of the off-road, especially the scale stuff, seems to be in the southwest at the moment. All 1/14 scale trucks, right. Well, dare I say it, if you look on Facebook, that's where most of them seem to live. It seems like people don't have websites anymore. How am I going to get to that on the other side? I'm not. Whoever designed this did not design it to ever come apart. So that means the side of the cage will have to come off on the other side. I reckon I can get this one off. Ah no, there's captured nuts in there, which is spinning in the plastic. Oh. Well, that's not going to come off. Slowly getting to the point where the only way to do this is going to be to pull the front gearbox free. That's terrible. Right, what do we do for that then? That's mounted 2 screws on either side. 4 screws. Should be those. Sponge inside is now following on Twitch. Cool. Thanks for the follow. Yep. Take all those button head screws out then. I like functional trucks, and like someone else recently, I will be interested when the new Tamiya Volvo tow truck is released. I guess price beware. Yeah, it's going to be, what is it, 1200 quid with the actuator? It's a bit crazy. Have you built a Tamiya Sand Scorcher? I have not. I think the oldest Tamiya I've got is a 80s Midnight Pumpkin, which I got before the re-release, of course. Re-release. And I thought that would be cool, that would be worth something one day. And then Tamiya came out with all the re-releases, and it's not. Put these screws back in. So I'm kind of hoping if I take the screws that mount the gearbox out, we might be able to jiggle it around a bit, just enough that we can get the cover off. This is all because I don't want to have to take all the sides off the frame. It's a very nice truck, this. You just don't want to get it dirty ever, because if anything goes wrong, it's such a pain to fix. Right, let's see if we can get these ones out. Key goes in, that's a good start. It's a bit shallow. Be a bit careful. Nope, there it goes. Mud. Slipping. Can knock out any of the sand that's in there. Any better? No? Maybe. Longer than the other one. Alright. Maybe it's supposed to be. There's a hole in my finger. Then it wouldn't be a RC build or repair without a small blood sacrifice. Those four. Now these four. Dark alley deals. That was quiet. Like whispering. Where'd he go? Just for the grit. The box still isn't moving much. Does that move? Not likely. There's more holding that in than you think. These two screws out all the way. Ooh, it does move. It's just popped onto something underneath. Don't think it's going to move enough to get the cover off though. But let's give it a go. So that path definitely doesn't work. So what else can we try? I have to take that gearbox off. I think that makes everything else more difficult afterwards then. Because I think that's got the slidey bit on it, if I remember rightly. Yeah, so I don't want to take that off, because then you'll never be able to grease it up and align everything. It's stuck on. It's moving. Be happy if I could just see what's going on in there. Seems to hinge on that battery plate. Well, that's in there. I just can't get enough angle. Ooh, and yeah, I can see inside there now, and it is full of rubbish. Yes. That's what the problem is. Okay, let's take the centre gearbox out and see what that does, the movement. What's that going to be? It's going to be all the other screws, I bet. No, maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Suppose if you can just get enough clearance without it all falling apart, it might be just good enough. but still well attached. What else is there? Those two? Yeah. There's a lot of screws holding that gearbox on. Didn't even see these two. Right, I think those other two screws here only hold the bottom of the slider in. Oh, yeah. Moving. Sort of. Hey, there we go. Yeah. Alright. Camera switch time. Actually, I have to do it on there. Out of focus. It's gone dark now too. Come on, camera. What is it doing? There we go. Right. So that is full of sand, which isn't a good start. And if we look down, there we go. You can see down in the depths here all the nice slidey mechanism is a bit hairy. So if I lift that out and power up again, the servo should move. I seem to have Halloween music at the moment. Maybe I'll change that. That's how I do that. Right, so turn on the radio, turn on the truck. Right, there we go. Nothing wrong with the servo at all, it was just so caked in gunge that the servo couldn't move it. Excellent. So I think, what should we do? Gonna have to take that gearbox out so we can clean up the shafts, which means these two yokes have to come off. Then we take the base of the sliding mechanism out, which means we can get to that shift shaft from the bottom and the servo. It's probably just this little slidey block. So I might have to take that bottom screw out because I think that's just tapping into the plastic. Okay, we have a plan. Still like to meet the guy that designed all this and ask him, did you think about serviceability when you designed that truck? And he'll go, designed what? Right, yokes. Yoke. Back in a bit more. Is that the right size? Or is that the right size? That's the right size. Right. come out. There we go. One screw pin. That should, it says slide off. Okay, there's one yoke. And that one is upside down. Serviceability, what kind of dirty glue is that? Yeah. Something that modern car designers have not heard of. Full size or model for that matter. Plastic. Hopefully that hasn't stripped the thread. Right, so that should, maybe. Getting a bit hung up. Pull that shaft up a bit. There we go. There you go. One centre gearbox. And you can see the plunger, which is focus. The plunger. It's going to focus on the background now. No? Yeah, good. That bit, which goes in and out, which should be all nice and clean. Yeah. And the whole lot looks like that, which is why it couldn't move. Serviceability stops you buying another one. Yeah, it means I'll buy somebody else's instead. That's that bit. Now we need the base plate of the slider. It should be the last two screws on the skid plate. What has this music got to do with Tibet, I wonder? Weird. This bit will probably drop out and do it. Right. It can drop out. Right, deep in the dry shaft, is it? Here we go. So, on. There we go. So you can see. There's a pointy thing. This area here that's slightly clean is where the block's supposed to slide back and forth, going in this groove. You can see where it's pushed all the grit with the mud in it to either end. So that's going to need a good clean. And the other bit that we need is the block itself, which I'm hoping I might be able to get out without having to take the whole servo out. Oh yeah. What would your dream build RC wise? Ooh. I don't know, it changes about every other day. I keep looking at aeroplanes since I've got my CAA license and stuff. Nice new aeroplane build. The trouble is, I like building with big engines and stuff, and it all gets rather expensive rather quickly. For trucks, I don't know, probably that new Tamiya breakdown truck, but purely because that's the newest one and that's the one I keep looking at recently. Right, there we go, there's a slider. So yeah, that wasn't going anywhere. That's a bit gross. So what should we do? I think a good wiper first of all. See where we go from there. I think the parts are all right. They're not scratched up or anything because there was plenty of grease in there. With that much dirt in it, can you see it anything? Yeah, it's another flaw in the design, because where this block here sits in there, or the other way up, can't remember, it has to slide back and forth, which means there's a great big slot along the side for it to slide in, which is a flawed design. If you go mud, sand or anything, it's going to get clogged up. I've seen a few people try and put like rubbery glands and stuff like that, but nothing really works. You kind of need to change the way it works fundamentally, so there isn't a great big open slot. So, don't know. I think the trick is you just stick to rocks and stuff like that, and don't get it too muddy. See, if you weren't worried about the dig mode, then you could probably use like a ball end and a collet straight on one of the shafts and get rid of the slot. Have to make some 3D printed bits or something. That would probably be the best thing, but the dig is quite fun. You can lock the rear axle so it doesn't drive like a handbrake, and then use the motor just on the front axle to put it around. It's not too bad. A little bit of gunge in there still. Clean that a bit more thoroughly in a minute. So the gearboxes seem alright. All that moves just fine. So it's just the plastic slider. Something like a brush along the slot. Yeah, that would keep a lot of the big bits out. Still wouldn't be great if you go in wet mud and stuff, especially if it's deep and it comes up above the chassis. Because I was thinking that those draft excluder brushes that you put around doors and stuff, you could probably do something with one of them. I think most people that run these seriously, shall we say, just stick it in first gear and lock it. I think that kind of misses the point of what the truck's about, the 2-speed gearbox and everything. because there's got to be cheaper cage framed trucks. Tell you what, let's change to that one so you can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, I've seen worse. It's just the amount of faff required, because you didn't see, because what was it, last night I had to take the wheels off, and to take the wheels off they've got hubcaps like these guys, like that, which have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws each. So I had to take those off, take the wheels off, had to take all the panels off the frame to get to the screws underneath, so I could get enough to spread that out to get the interior out. So there's already been a good couple of hours of effort put into this, even before starting the stream today. So yeah. Maybe a rubber boot kind of thing, like on drive shafts. Yeah, I don't know how you would do it, because the bit that sticks out is quite square, not round. So trying to get a seal around it, I don't know how you would manage that. I think it's just fundamentally not a good design. I think they probably had the various bits designed, and then somebody suddenly found that they had to try and figure out a way of making it work with the servo. And they came up with this in 5 minutes flat, and it kind of works, as long as you never get it dirty. I mean, it's been sat, what, probably for about 6 months, where I keep looking at it thinking I need to fix that. But it seems like such a lot of effort. Because it is, I suppose. Right, that's the worst of it out. I need a rubbish box. I haven't got any empty boxes at all. Got a fly sky box. Do I need that? No. This shall now be the rubbish box. Okay, on rubbish bin. Very cool. Forgot about the slidery thing. Sand gets into everything. Yeah. I was down. Where was it? Can't remember where it was. I was somewhere further south than where I am at the moment, so it's definitely down. But that was a MOD driver training area that's also kind of open to the public, and that was almost all really big rough bits of sand and water and mud. So I drove the Outlaw round there, and after about an hour it completely seized up. The sand got into every single bit of the gear train. Rear axle, front diff. The spur gear was partially stripped just because of the sand that got in there. Crazy. Fun bit is that if you go to the beach, as long as you can stay out of the water obviously, it's a lot less gritty, or at least the beach down at Hayling Island. The sand is smooth, I guess. It doesn't eat parts so much anyway. It's dry, I suppose, because you can dust it off with a can of air. One thing though, at least leaving it for so long, most of the dirt and grease has dried out. Had great fun on Westward Ho beach with one of my sand scorchers. Alright, got the right buggy for it. Pretty clean. Make sure there's nothing in the slot. Yeah, I have to get down to the coast again this year before tourist season starts. It was good last year because in May, I think it was, when I was down there, most of the places were still shut because it wasn't on season, but it was nice and sunny. Great. The only people you saw walking for, I don't know, several miles along the beach were like half a dozen dog walkers, and that was it. A few windsurfers in the afternoon. Almost looks brand new. Right, that should probably do it. Suppose I should give the chassis a quick brush as well. Oh, and the other plunger. Shift shaft thing. Yeah. There's a amount of grass in the bottom of this actually. It was in early January, just me and a few other surfers and dog walkers. Great. I suppose being that early in the year it's not too bad as long as the wind isn't too strong. I'll just get a bit cold I should think. Clean up that shaft. That slides all right. So. One more bit. There we go. That should be ready for a rebuild now. I took my Mini Z buggy out for a drive some time ago on dirt gravel patch. Realised I probably shouldn't have. It doesn't like being driven on actual dirt or anything other than carpet apparently. Yeah, most people use them for indoor racing more than actual bashing and stuff. What is it, 1/18th is it, or 1/24th? I forget. I had a similar problem with, where is it? This old fella. I'll do that, knocking everything off the shelf. Yeah, on Dusty Mini T Pro with a Castle, what is it, micro sidewinder motor. It will do wheelies from any speed you like, great fun. But you go over a rock and it literally disassembles itself. I have to get that going again with a LiPo now instead of the 9mm. That could be interesting. So how are we going to put this back together? So we've got the bottom slider. So I think it will go back together with the gearbox in place. I did have trouble getting it over that lip. That would suggest that needs to go on to the end of the shaft first. Just so it's kind of ready. So I can still slide it back and forth. Yeah, that'll work, I think. I hope. Oh, Lossy Mini T. Yeah, Mini T Pro. Got the box up there as well, actually. Good. More pilots. See how dusty this is. Another one. And you come. There we go. Yeah, Mini T Pro. Awesome little truck. So it basically came with all the Lossy options as a kit. Oh, no manual. Must be in the box somewhere. Micro T, hang on. It just so happens that within arm's reach. There you go. They were quite good fun indoors. Small enough that you can muck about in the house without causing too much damage. Quite fancy one of the new, what is it, Mini T2s, whatever they're called. Interesting to see if they're any more robust than the old ones. Alright, how are we going to do that? Maybe use one of the short Allen keys. See if I can get a better grip on it. Leave all these just slightly loose until everything's back together. Currently eyeing the new Mini Z 4x4 Jimny. Oh yeah, that looks rather neat. I have a bag with some little Allen keys in it somewhere. Probably that's it. Right. Fancy building a Land Rover all-terrain crawler type. Any recommendations? There's a few out there. Are you looking for a what should we say, buggy type Land Rover with wheels sticking out usually, or a proper scale with the wheels tucked under, little wheels like a scale truck, big wheels like more like an RC typical? Because if you want scale and you want it to go together nice and easy without having to do lots of cutting and shutting, have a look at the 3 Racing X Reel. And I happen to have one of those in a cupboard next to me. I'll get that out in a sec. This one's not quite complete, but most of it's there. We're going to run out of space. Definitely going to run out of space. So that's kind of what the 3 Racing setup looks like, with a few mods. And there's a full set of videos about one of these on the channel. So I'll take the lid off. So you've got a front mounted motor, chassis mounted servo with, I think it's 4 links, so you do get a bit of bump steer. 2-speed gearbox. Full-time 4-wheel drive, metal chassis. So this is a 3 Racing X Reel. The chassis, I think it's about 180, not including the body. But there's a few different places you can get the bodies from. You can get them direct from China, and they're about 40 quid. RC 4-wheel drive do a version of it, which is way more expensive, but as far as I can tell it's exactly the same body. And 3 Racing do their own version. 3 Racing X Reel, yeah, REAL. So realistic rather than fishing reel. But they're quite good. I've got a few 3D printed parts up on Thingiverse to do some mods. And I think the manual's available online. I don't know 3 Racing. It's your typical. It's your typical Chinese brand. But they do fairly good stuff. They started off getting popular with the Sakura, I think, drift car. Is it possible to use a LED side marker light to also flash the turn indicator? And if so, without affecting the other LEDs being used as side markers running lamps on a truck using an MFC? Well, it's not impossible. Probably not simple though, because you will have what is in essence two different signals. One signal to say side markers are turned on, and the other one to say the indicator is currently on off, on off. So you need some electronics that will sit in between that will, what should we say, look at the two signals and then determine what to do with the side markers that also do the indicators. So not impossible, but not simple. However, with my board, the mythical being, you can go into the config file and change the output to side marker and it just works. But yeah, they're not ready yet. Always fancied a 110 Land Rover. Well, you can get a 110 hardbody. Unfortunately, the wheelbase is quite a bit longer than any of the standard chassis. So you kind of have to do your, unless you go with the RC 4-wheel drive, because I think they do a long wheelbase chassis with the body, but it's like 800 quid or something silly. Oh, is that a link? Oh, clicking on the wrong things. Stream manager. Yeah, that's the company. So if you do products, I guess. Car kits, re-racing. I've got a big ad for it. Yeah. Can I copy that? That one. Paste. And enter. There you go. How does your controller do the two intensities, low-high, by voltage or current change of a single LED? It does it using high-speed PWM. So it's turning the lights on and off many times a second. So by changing the duty cycle, they appear to get brighter and dimmer. And my setup is fast enough that even on camera you don't see that flicker that you see on some kits. All of the outputs on my boards are voltage rather than current. So when you connect your LEDs to it, as long as you're within a maximum current, you can essentially connect as many LEDs as you like, as long as they've got their own resistor or whatever you're using to limit the current. You can do it with a couple of transistors or whatever, really. I try and be as generic as possible with the output, so it will work with lots of different things. You can even, with the outputs that only switch on or off, not with the brightness, connect other circuits. So I have a Larsen scanner, so the Knight Rider light, and you can plug that into one of the outputs and turn it on and off just like any other light, which is a bit of fun. Right, so that's the gearbox back in. Can I fit that? I think so. There's the manual. That's those holes. So I need the front of the chassis on my left. And what screws do we want? No, that's not that bit. I want the gearbox. Never going to find it in a manual. Huh. That's already been fitted there. Has it? No. Ah. 3x10s. So one's brain does not see the flash rate, but it appears to be brighter because of the longer duration flashes. Essentially, yeah. Yep. It's flashing on and off in the kilohertz, so thousands of times a second. Ooh, that's awkward. It's upside down. Is it upside down? Oh, my brain's so confused looking at this diagram. No, it really doesn't help. Or does it? Oh, maybe it does. That should be that one then. Ooh, nope. Let's try the other one. Now that one threads in. How am I going to fish that other screw out? I'll get to the hole from the other side. Yes. 3. So that one should go in there then. Oops. Just not quite done up all the way, so it can all move about a bit. Line up. Let's stack back together. Right. Next, put this back on. They could have made this ever so slightly more awkward. Don't know how, but they could. Right. So that's that back in. Which way up? Does it matter which way up? No, it looks symmetrical. Right, can use some grease. What grease to use? I suppose if it's going to get covered in mud and grit again, it probably doesn't matter. Just use some lithium. So that's what I've got handy. At least if I go through water, it shouldn't get washed away so easily. Slot. Of course, hoping I can actually get the other bit back on. blob on there. Get spread out pretty quick. Building a Hercules hobby truck and trailer, what a nightmare. Missing parts! Oh, malformed parts. Manual that does not show parts. Designation for parts. No parts bag. That sucks. My Hercules stuff has been pretty good. Although I did notice when I was building the, which one would it be? Trailer, I think. But they had stickers in the manual for some of the parts. So maybe you've got one that hasn't been updated? Maybe. I don't know. All the parts fit there. Mistake. Blue fingers. Alright, see if that moves. Let it up. Plug in a battery. Yep, that moved. Good. Grease on the top. A bit in the middle. Good. Right, can I get this back on there without disturbing everything? Ooh. Ooh. Looks like it. Okay. So far so good. Can I get this in? Spin the gearbox a bit. Ah. That's not attached. Power it up and use the throttle. Thanks for 3 Racing Link, was just away briefly. Yeah, no worries. Gently give it a bit of throttle. There we go. Just trying to get the drive shaft lined up with the gear, since it didn't want to. Right. Now to put the rest of the screws back in. Trying to remember which screws go where. So these two, oops, for the middle two, because they're a little bit shorter. Cool, I was just watching your grand hauler from a couple of years back and was going to see what else you had, but you're live. I am, yes. Hopefully I'll have a bit more to do on the grand hauler before too long. That might work. Should have sound going in at some point, but I want to design a new speaker mount. So I want to try and make it all hidden under the bonnet, or under the hood at the front. And then make a set of mounts to go in the sleeper at the back. So all the lighting electronics, the radio, the speed control and everything are all back there. And the memory card and everything is accessible through the door on the back. United States Marine Band. Okay. Nice. I may be able to help. Ooh. What you're offering? I have a grand too. Ah. Have you ever finished the Brooder Volvo A60H to do a video series on? No, I haven't. I don't think I've done any Brooder stuff. No. It's the Rastar ones, 1/14th, that I do that are similar. Oh, I think my overhead camera just packed up. It started clicking at me and now it stopped. That's not good. Yeah. What's gone on with that? Where are we then? Overhead. Look at that, not moving. Overhead cam off, on. No. Settings. Oh. I've still got two of the cameras. Oh, there it goes. Is that working? Yeah, it works. How strange. Technology is wonderful when it works. Not so good when it randomly stops. Oh. Are we live again? Hello? Anybody there? You're back. I am back. I don't know what that was. Is it all working? Looks like it. Is your video buffering? There's an understatement. Yeah, I think it's my new router or something like that that I got with the faster internet. I think it's a bit not very good. Which is that Land Rover in your offline pick? That's a TRX4 at the Bedford Radio Control Car Club. And I think that was their opening day. I do custom 3D prints if you want any help with this. Ah, okay. This is when I wish my memory worked better, because I've got two button head screws there and I don't remember where they go. I'm sure we'll notice something falling off in a minute. Very nice. Active. Active? You mean, is the club active? Land Rover active. That's waiting for new bearings because it's kind of seized up. I've got a box of bearings. I just need to get around to actually fitting them, which I might do on a live stream. We've got the Southern Scale Trail something or other at the end of March down in Somerset, so I'm hoping to have most of the trucks ready to go by then. These screws don't line up. So this is kind of the first one, because there's an awful lot of rocks down there, because it's in an old quarry. And this is a lot of fun on rocks, with the dig gearbox. You can actually get to use it, because normally around here in the woods, it's, yeah, it doesn't really help a lot. Oh, it's set up. Why is it set proud? Oh, those other screws didn't line up with it. Oops! I'll hopefully be coming to that meetup. Yeah! This will be the fourth one, I think, that Neil's organised. But it will be the first one with burgers and donuts, so it should be the best. Although I bet some of the guys will still have barbecues out. Although, end of March? No, some of them will still have barbecues out. Gone again. Should all go in there somehow. It came out, so it should, with a bit of squeezing and cracking. That's not going to work. Front first, maybe? How did I get it out? Ah, here she goes. Got one side in. That's hung up on there. Right. It's kind of in. Oh, 54 CH1, 54 channel 1, SAC 1. Not sure. Hello from Indonesia. Hello from the UK anyway. Hello. Corner focus. Good afternoon / evening. Well, it was afternoon when I started the first time, and then my router decided it didn't want to have Wi-Fi in it anymore, so now it's evening. Still, the hard bit's done. We have the gearbox working. Just call me see, even that, I could say Saki or Sachi. I'm going to say Sachi because that sounds a bit more Indonesian, maybe? Maybe you're an expat from somewhere else. Don't know, I've had enough trouble reading English, so as soon as there's any other combinations of letters, I've had it. Yep, that's right. Good. Good, good. That doesn't look bad. Still a bit grubby on the inside, but I think who's going to notice that? There you go, all clean. So, oh yeah, that fits on there. Now those two screws have to go in, so do them and them, before the bonnet and stuff, and we still need to reattach the speed control because it's kind of a bit floaty. What rig is that? This is a GMade GOM. Hello to Rodger. I'm tempted to say Roger. Is that Roger? Oh, Roger. And John, yes, I'm back again. I figured out what the problem is. Anything I connect to the Wi-Fi, it lasts about a minute and then loses connection every single time. But things that are connected via Ethernet work fine. So I now have a 10-meter length of Ethernet cable, I'm blowing into the mic, sorry, running from the back of this little PC down the stairs, across the hallway, into the front room, into the far corner where the router lives. So yeah, but it is just a PlusNet own brand thing, so I'm guessing it's just terrible. So I'll probably invest in a nice Netgear or Linksys or something like that with VDSL, and we should be good. Tent scale, yeah, it's bigger than the like your Land Rovers and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of, I don't know, if you put it next to a 1/8 buggy, it's probably similar to that. This is not the right screw. I can do that actually. Hang on. I need to look at the manual and figure out what the screw sizes are, because I've forgotten. And you took it apart yesterday. Put these nice and tidy. So if I put that there, and then go to my cupboard of many things. Let's say, let's get this one out again. This is your typical 1/10 scale Land Rover. So, I don't know, it does look a bit smaller without the wheels on, because this guy has 2.2s, obviously. So, yeah. It's funny when you see things compared side by side, they do look a lot different. If I get a buggy up, which is a lot heavier, see the wheelbase is actually longer on the GMade. So yeah, I don't know, it's a funny old size. It's good fun though, when it works, and it hasn't seized up. Cable is better. Yeah, it's just trying to run the cable from upstairs to downstairs. I need to do it properly really, get one of those white flat cables or something like that and run it across the ceiling into the front room and then down corner and so on and so forth. Should be able to do it without drilling any holes, hopefully. Right, let's go look at the manual and figure out what I need to plug in, screw in where. Downloads, manual. So run the cage roof. Sides, what are we up to? That's fitting the axles, dampers, steering linkages. Fitting the interior. Oh, there's a roof. So that has 2.5 by 12. 2.5 by 12. So that's one of those, but a slightly longer one. Okay. They all look the same. Got two of them. Two of them. Did I put them in the wrong pot? Maybe? It's just got hexes. That's just the hubcaps and millions of screws. No. I feel like I'm missing something. 2.5 by 12, 2.5 by 12. Oh, 2.5 by 12s all the way around. Yeah. What 8 scale truggy do you think is the best? I don't know. I haven't done anything with 1/8 scale for such a long time. That buggy I just showed you is a Hyper 7 TQ Sport, and I got that when it was brand new, just out. And I haven't really looked since. Everybody's running electric these days, which doesn't really interest me for high speed stuff. I still like playing with the engines when I can. So where do they go? Ah, they go on back. Ah, I took those out and I put them back in. Good. It should be that one. It goes in the back. No, that's way too short. Must be the longer one. Yeah, that's it. Sweet. Back up. Seems okay. So, got... Ah, that's already been fitted. Oh no, I see. That's the two screws that come in through the top. Yes. So where did they come from? That must be that. I'm going to use it there. All the other screws are the same. Doesn't make any sense to use the short ones because there's only about 2 turns of thread holding everything together. Is that nitro powered also? The 1/8 buggy is. This guy's electric. This one's kind of a crawler-ish. I think it says rock bouncer, I think is the proper term. So it's got a bit of speed to it, but not outrageous. But it's got locked axles and dig on the rear, so I can lock the rear axle solid like a handbrake and then drive the front round, things like that. So that's pretty cool. Got roof. That goes on that side. That goes on that side. Got that panel. And that panel. Yeah. Right, this is always fun. Millions of little tiny screws. Roma Hishoko? Roma, yes. Rodgar is on Twitch, so I don't think he'll be able to hear you when you send messages, type messages. Because yours will only show up on YouTube. I think that was a desert buggy at first. You could probably use it as a desert buggy, put some paddle tyres on it. Ah, that's me. I switched to YouTube. Oh, I see. I think. Ah, I see. That's what you meant. I thought you were trying to talk to him. Yourself, even. Okay. So what were you saying? Sorry I didn't answer, I got the wrong end of the stick there. Are you planning on doing mods to WP or Crawler? Yes. At the very least, I'll probably put some nicer looking dampers on. Because the old plastic cheapy things are pretty wobbly and horrible. And they just don't look nice. Because being a slow speed truck, it doesn't really matter if the dampers aren't functional, but it's nice to have them looking nice. These screws are all full of crap. Oop. Morning. Just about 50 more to go. It'll be worth it though. It'll be worth it. Just keep telling myself that. And there's also all the lights to do as well, actually. So you're going to have headlights, the red brake tail lights, reverse lights, and then I'm tempted to see if I can get some little surface mount LEDs wired up to the lighting pods. The indicator, what would it be, side lights I guess, but that's a bit tricky. How long you've been on YouTube, mate? It's a good question. It's got to be 4 or 5 years, at least with the RC Mojo channel, because other things were tried prior to that. I tried a gaming thing with a friend, which fell flat on its face, as you can imagine. I think we uploaded about, what, 5 or 10 videos and got maybe 2 views total. So we got bored of that. I don't know, if I go to my YouTube, where is it, channel videos, uploads, see if this crashes my internet again or something. Date. Oh, crikey. No, 2011, that's 9 years. Ouch. Oh well. Time flies. Especially when you're not paying attention. So that means my attempt at a gaming channel was over a decade ago. Awesome. Although, having said that, don't go back and watch the old ones. They're pretty terrible. There's one side panel on. Next. Old but gold. Comedy gold maybe. Especially the editing. So, some of my first attempts, because I was trying to figure out how do you show everything in a video. So what I would do on the early ones, I think the TTO1 was one like that, is I would play back the whole video, but I would kind of fast forward between the useful bits, which look kind of funky, but I got quite a number of people telling me it wasn't so good. And watching it back now, I can understand why. So I recently did the GT3B software mod, thanks to your guide. Nice one. Makes it a lot more useful, although trying to program it with the on-screen menus is a bit of a faff. But for, what is it, 30 quid, you can't really complain. There we go, that's one side. I started watching when you started the TTO1 project. Oh yeah, hang on. As everything seems to be, she's a bit dusty. But that guy? It's still all there. Need to get that running again actually, because that was quite good fun at the skate park, going up and down the ramps, trying not to break it. Time for an electric screwdriver. That's a good way of wrecking the screw threads in the plastic, unless you've got one with a really light clutch. But kind of the problem I've got is most of these little tiny screws, which you can't really see. Hang on, if I change my camera, bit blurry. Come on. There you go. You can see a lot of the screw heads are slightly rusty and full of rubbish. So it's a bit tricky to get a good grip on the hex to actually do them up. But they don't come in and out that often. Don't have to get removed so often. So yeah, put up with it. I got the 3B for 21 quid on eBay. That's good. Was that new or a used one? I got the HSP 94111. Now I know HSP, but I don't know all the model numbers. New from China. Ah. Which one's the 94111 then? I'll have a look in a sec. Get that one started. HSP 94111. Go. Okay, you do a Google search for that and you end up with just about everything HSP do. Ah, there it is. Gear best. Ah, okay. Let's do source, add, window, that one, swap. There you go, like that one. So it's got kind of a Tamiya TXT1 style body, at least with the paint. We've got a chassis picture. Oh, different bodies. Huh. I like how they show you the body and everything, but they don't actually show you what's under it. No, not a single chassis picture. That's a really good funny. Very cheap parts, that's why I bought it. Yeah. Well, a lot of the HSP stuff seems to be rebadged by all sorts of other companies, like FTX. Because you've got the HSP Rock something or other, I forget, which is the same as the FTX Outback. And they do a whole load of different versions of that. I've got, is it an HSP or one of the other brands? I think it's one of the other brands that shares as well. A little Jeep, and that works a treat. Haven't tried to get parts for it yet, but in the most part, the FTX stuff direct from CML over here in the UK fit just fine. Ow. I started with a JLB J3 speed and upload it to YouTube. JLB. What could that be? JLB J3 speed. Hold on. JLB J3 speed. Oh, Google knows what it is. Let's go to that one. Bang good. So what we've got for this one then? Window capture. That one, go. So what's that trying to copy? Has kind of a Traxxas vibe to it. Oh, got a chassis picture. Doesn't look like a Traxxas underneath though. Not sure about the toe links at the back. They look a bit vulnerable. Same radio, or similar radio. Dean's connector, that's not bad. Got your standard hobby wing type electrics. Yeah, that looks perfectly fine. I'm waiting to get the JLB Racing Cheetah. It seems very good for 250, but it's out of stock in China. Wow, that's a new colour. The funny thing is, quite often they'll bring a new truck out and give it a new name, and all it is a new decal set and a slightly different paint scheme. But then again, Traxxas have been doing that for the past 10 or 15 years anyway, or more. So you can't blame them. No, it's amazing the value you can get with RC stuff these days. It's all incredibly cheap compared to how it used to be. Radios, the trucks, just about everything. Even the motors. And you've got a choice as well. You can either go with the cheap Chinese stuff, like this motor, which is alright, does the job, or you can pay a bit extra and go with the Holmes Hobby stuff, which is high quality stuff. Yeah, Racing Cheetah has different wheels to the J3 and costs 15 quid less. Ah, okay. So it's basically the same set of bits, just different cosmetics. Whoops. Alright, there's the other side panel, now the other back quarter. I think I need an intern or something that I can pay minimum wage to do stuff like this. Cheap and cheerful is my belief. Yeah, for the most part, I'd go for that. So nice to have a few, or a couple, or one, whatever, really nice rig, I think. You just have to be a bit careful when you run it. And that screw's had it, so we can get it in. Gently does it, don't slip. Oops. I wonder if my little driver set would work better for this. Trouble is, if I slip, I don't want to damage the end of the bits. A nice square-ended hex driver set with screwdriver handles would probably make getting these buggered screws in a little bit easier. Are you making those body panels yourself? No, the kit comes with them. If you look at the bonnet, it's actually moulded to shape so it fits over the side bits. They all come pre-cut, you just paint them like a regular polycarb body shell. It's all quite nice. It's just that to get to the screws and stuff to fix the gearbox, you have to take most of them out, which is a fiddle. But hey ho, this is only the first time I've had to do it, and I think from now on I'm gonna not run this in the deep mud, because all that happens is the gearbox slider mechanism thing fills up with mud and stops working. So this will be trails, little jumps and rocks, which is probably what it was designed for, really, being a rock bouncer. It's pretty good. Alright, roof. 4 screws in the roof. Gearbox not waterproof. Well, the gearbox where the gears live, that's very good. but they've got this funny sliding mechanism for the gear shift because it's got 3 positions. When it's in the center, you've got first gear. When it slides to the front, you've got second gear. And when it slides to the back, you've got first gear, but the back axle has the dig enabled, so it's like pulling on the handbrake. And it all works relatively well. But there's a slider that slides back and forth that pushes the 2 actuators in and out, and that has a great big slot that it slides in. And that slot is kind of a bit open to the elements. So what happens is when you get grit and mud and stuff in there, it mixes with the grease, goes largely solid, and then the servo can't push the actuators and just sits there taking lots of power and getting hot. So I've seen many attempts at trying to waterproof it with various things, but I haven't seen one that really works. So for the time being, I've just cleaned it up, rebuilt it, and it seems to be working. There's a few other bits and bobs on the chassis that are a bit iffy, but they'll probably be alright for now. It doesn't need to be perfect. As long as it runs, can have some fun. Because at the end of the month, you've got Neil Brookland's Southern Scale Trail thingamabob in Somerset. So I want to have a decent number of rigs all going. As long as we enjoy playing it right. Yeah, okay. I could suggest innuendo with that, but I won't. Seem to have more screws left. Ah, on it. How many does that need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws! Perfect. Right. So that's just the bonnet panel left, and we'll put that on in a minute. First, I've got to reattach the speed control, because it's kind of a bit floaty. Clean up some of the junk. Don't look too dreadful. Peel off the old servo tape. It's actually alright on the bottom. Looks like it didn't stick to the speed control. I think I'll have the switch off too, so I can clean that away. It's got water under it. Where did that come from? Fair enough. That really looks like a desert buggy, sort of. Yeah, sort of. They're kind of loosely, sort of, again, based on the... Oh, what are they called? Oh, I can't remember the class. But they run them a lot in the States, where they drive up really, really steep hills, gunning it with huge, great V8 engines, as they do. So rather than crawling up stuff, they go like the crappers. And I think it's kind of loosely based on that sort of idea. Maybe? Don't know, it's a hybrid, I think. That was a mistake. Looks alright. Alright, see if I can get any alcohol out of this. There's almost none left. Can I take the lid off? I can. Ooh, strong stuff. Got a spam bot. Let's see if I can get rid of that. I want to become famous. How do you do it? Click on that. Yep. Add friend? Don't think so. Ban timeout mod. Ban. Banned. One message was deleted by moderator. Still showing on that chat though. Oh well. Definitely banned him. Survey tape. Use me knife scissors. Another clean. Another good wipe. GMade reminds me of the FTX Outlaw. It's quite a bit bigger than the Outlaw. I'll tell you what, when I go and get the wheels and tyres, I'll bring an Outlaw up and you can see them side by side. They are quite different. The Outlaw, I don't know, it's a bit more of a basher, I think. This is a bit closer to a crawler, but it can still go at a decent speed to kind of bounce around and go up things and stuff. Can I get that on there without it sticking to all the dust? Yeah. Just in looks. Yeah, I suppose. It's a similar kind of thing. Big wheels on kind of a slightly framey truck, rather than the sleek buggies and stuff. That's not going to work. Take that out again. Yeah, stay up. Right, okay. Is that Hobbywing Quick Run Go standard or you add it? The kit doesn't come with any speed controller at all. They do a ready to run, I think, but that's not what this was. This was kit built. I think if the JLB doesn't come back in stock, I might get the brushless Outlaw. Ooh, very nice. Yeah, they're very good value, those things. I ended up with the brushed one, simply because for what I was using it for, it was fast enough. Since I've had good experience with FTX, yeah. There's I don't know, it's probably HSP again, but they do exactly the same truck that you can get from China, and it is cheaper if you don't mind the weight. And of course all the FTX parts and even the upgrades all fit directly. I think it's on GearBest or Banggood, they definitely do it. I've got a list of stuff in my shopping cart for upgrades for my Outlaw on there. But you don't get quite such a nice manual and all that kind of stuff with the Chinese ones. Or the Chinese, what to say, label, because they're all made in China. VTX? Oh, that sounds about right. VTX. Don't know, it's been a few months since I looked. I've slept since then, as they say. Right. Ooh, that's stiff. Loosen that top screw a bit. That's better. Alright, let's power it up again. Just make sure it all works before I put the bonnet on, because that does make things a bit of a pain. Not that the rest of it isn't already. £86 for full carbon upgrade Outlaw, if I can recall, on AliExpress. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, that works. So, if I flip her over, so you can see the drive shaft. Yeah, you can see it on the widescreen. Oops. So, where are we? So that's second gear. Right, and if I go to first gear, see it all slow down, hopefully. Second gear, first gear. And if I go one more, the back axle stops, but the front one carries on. And hopefully, if it's worked, no it hasn't worked, but that one should lock. But it's a little bit, doesn't want to go. No, got more fiddling to do there I think, but that would just be on the servo. If I give it a push, there you go, that's locked it. So when you do that and it's on the ground, it means that the back axle should stay put and you can do full steering at the front and drive and it will pull around the back axle, which is quite neat when it works. It's all a bit finicky, but hey ho, it's good enough. Right, no electronics though. Okay. But then if you fit in like a GT3 system, those receivers are like a £5, and then you can fit a decent brushless system rather than the fairly basic system that the FTX comes with. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but gives you the opportunity of something a bit talkier. Okay, bonnet time. Now this is always fun because trying to get these screws lined up so the dashboard lines up and the screws on here line up too is interesting. But here we go. $36.74 brushless motor. Yeah, go on then. Just make sure you video it. Oh crap. I'll fish that out in a minute. Goes another one. Ah. Got it. Yeah. I put one in an FTX Vantage. The spare gear lasted about 12 seconds. Yeah. Alright, where'd the other screw end up? There it is. Right, just got to do these up. Is that actually going in? Yeah. So we bottom out the screws and then undo it a bit so we're not compressing the polycarbonate. And there we go, one bonnet. Feel like I've been working all day. Get some of this grass out. Yeah. Now, don't think I'll be able to get it on the camera, but that screw pin is actually incredibly well bent. Screw pin? No, not screw pin, drive pin. So at some point it's had an impact and the whole thing is bent like this. And I don't think it's going to come out. That would have to be cut out. But I don't think it's going to bother the running of it too much. Yeah, no, that's not going to go anywhere. So I think I'll just leave that in there and put the hex on and probably forget about it. Not because I'm lazy, but because it should be fine. Now, one of these stub axles was rather well bent, but I don't have any replacements, so that'll have to stay as it is. Are you going to show the running of it in this live? I've been trying to think of a way to do that. Part of the problem is it's pitch black outside, and I don't really have anywhere inside I can run it. But I can try running it on the bench here and see what I can demolish. So think of something, I'm sure. Don't you want to fit in there? But we're nearly there now, hopefully. If I can figure out why that doesn't want to fit. Won't go over the lip. Ah, gotcha. Okay, one more. Billing. John Moio M0U. Thanks for the follow. Yeah, that one fits. Right now I'm watching this through my laptop and my phone also, because it's kind of faster to chat from the phone. Okay, wonder if that counts as 2 viewers. That would be nice. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tidy up a little bit and get rid of some of the junk and put this mud in the bin. I think that's all the major stuff. And then get some wheels and tyres, and I'll bring up the FTX Outlaw as well, where you can see what they look like next to each other. So I'll be back in just a minute. Where's my mute? Mute! Here we go, one set of GMade wheels. Well, I've been sat on the radiator for a bit long and they've kind of well, leave it wheels up for a while and they will sort themselves out, I'm sure. So have I actually got any wheel nuts anywhere? Must be in this one, yeah. One, two, three, four. Sweet. Alright, let's stick these on then. Don't think they were sided. No. Nope. One thing I'm not going to do is put the hubcaps back on, because that must have taken me an hour to take those things off, which really wasn't any fun at all. So there's one. Number two. Nope. Alright, last one. I think we're all good. I think this tray is a bit surplus now, given it doesn't really fit on it. So, there we go. One GMade GOM. And impressively, those dampers, which are GMade ones, surprisingly, not surprisingly even, still damp just fine. And I haven't had to rebuild them at all. Very nice. So let's put those bits to the side, move that over, and now if I grab the FTX, ooh, cables, and pop that next to it, and line the wheels up, you can see it's a little bit bigger. Put them there. The FTX is definitely a bit creakier, but I think part of that is because of how I've used it. I had this going through muddy puddles where all you could see was the top of the guy's helmet above the waterline. So it's yeah. But this thing, if you run at ramps with it, it jumps really well and stays level and flat. This thing, because all the weight is at the front and there's nothing at the back, it just nosedives instantly. But this crawls a lot better. So two very different trucks. Right, let's see if we can make it run. Oh, forgot to turn the radio off. Good start. So on the side we have a door which works, but when the weather's cold and you can't feel your fingers, trying to get that undone, oh, it's a nightmare. So how did I fit that in there before? Was it that way around? Yeah, seems to go in. Tuck the cable in. Oops. And then that bit is supposed to turn. There it goes. Oh. You should see my HSP, it really defines the word creaky. I have to replace the bearings every run. Yeah, it's fun driving through the water, but these little trucks, big trucks, whatever, aren't really designed for it, I don't think. That tyre doesn't look great. I think the foams have had it as well. And that's not good. I think my little steering servo has a feedback problem. I think we've got a dirty pot in there. I'll have to fix that another time though, because it's getting a bit late now, 10:15, it's truth. And the other mechanical problem is one of the front wheels, this one, you can see the stub axle is a little bit on the bent side. So I might have to take that out and see if I can straighten it a bit, because I don't think I'll be able to get spare parts anytime soon. So nearly all works. It's steering servo, bent stub axle, and that's about it. If we run it slowly, second gear, first gear, dig. Yeah. Cool. We got the difficult bit done, which is the gearbox. I think the that's bad. I think the servo and the stub I'll have to do another time or off stream, probably off stream, because that's small fiddly stuff, and stick it in a vise and hit it with a hammer stuff, which isn't really what you want to see on here, I don't think. Otherwise though, I'm quite pleased by how it's all still pretty good. Oh, and some foams as well. See, that feels alright. That one's knackered. That one's knackered. Oh, that's still a bit, don't know. That's alright. So two of the foams have gone and the other two aren't. Maybe they were the ones at the front and they got... No, it doesn't make any sense. Don't know what happened to them. So, yeah. Alright, let's see if we can drive it on the table. There you go, it runs. I'm not going to do it anymore because I'll probably crash into something expensive. So, yeah. Right, I think it's my dinner time, considering it's 20 past 10 at night. And all I've had today was a chicken sandwich and a cookie. This all took rather longer than I thought, especially when the stream went down for half an hour or so and I couldn't get it back. So I'm gonna say end of stream, so thanks for watching. Goodbye. I will leave it on that. Hang on, that says BRB. There we go. Right at the end of a video, what do you know? But I'll leave it on that for a couple of minutes while I tidy up the rest of my stuff, and then I'll stop the stream. Thanks for answering me, always. Well, whenever I notice stuff anyway. I'm getting better at that. Doesn't always work. Right, so I'm going to mute my mic, and in a few minutes time I'll stop the stream, so bye guys.